Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your man Soul. We back with another video. You know what it is when you clicked it. Today we are doing the Wrath of the Lich King prot Paladin build. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So as you can see, I got the glyphs already set up. We're going to talk about those later, but I just wanted to let you know the other video I started out with no glyphs, but just try to save some time. And we're going to start with some glyphs already set up. But to kick off the talent build, we're going to go 5 out of 5 Divine Strength. As you guys know, strength is parry, parry is avoidance, and avoidance is good for tanks, so we love it. Next things next, we're getting anticipation. This is going to go 5 out of 5 at 12, just a flat 5% increase to your dodge chance, again doubling down on the strength of avoidance. Over here we have Guardian's Favor. We are skipping this. This is an optional talent if you really need the cooldown reduction on Hand of Protection, also known as BOP, or increase the duration of Hand of Freedom to 4 seconds, sure, but this is largely an optional talent, or maybe a dungeon running talent if you're trying to speedrun stuff, but you don't really need it. Stoicism is a PvP talent. We really don't need that, so we're going to move on. Down here we have Divine Sacrifice, also known as Raid Sac. Very powerful cooldown. What this does is redirects all damage taken from your party members, 30%, not all, my mistake, 30% of all damage taken from party members to you, up to a maximum of 40% of your health. Damage which reduces you below 20% will instantly break the effect, meaning Divine Sacrifice cannot kill you in and of itself. Follow-up damage surely will if you're that low in health, but Divine Sacrifice by itself will not kill you. Very, very good talent. This talent can really swing the motion of a raid fight in your favor just by having this and having a paladin. So really strong talent. Over here we have Improved Righteous Fury. While Righteous Fury is active, reduces all damage taken by 6%. As you can see, it no longer has the threat generator increase that TBC's version has, but still a really good talent. Over here we have Toughness. Every tank has a version of Toughness. This is just the Paladin's version, 5 out of 5. Moving on down, we have Divine Guardian. Now when you activate Divine Sacrifice, your party and raid members within 30 yards take 20% reduced damage. This is eventually what Aura Mastery in the Holy Tree will become. It'll become this blanket raid-wide AoE, which in turn will make Holy Paladins, because they become the ones with Aura Mastery so good. So this is a really, really, really strong talent. Mandatory in my opinion. Improved Hammer of Justice is another optional talent. If you really need the cooldown reduction on Hodge, take it. If you don't, you probably won't take this. You won't really see much use out of this in raids per se, maybe during trash, but not really in raids. Dungeons, yes, if you really want to just get a stun or extra CC out, but you don't really need this. Moving on over, we have Improved Devotion Aura. If you come from TBC, you know that the Devotion Aura talent in TBC is notoriously horrible. Here though, it's really good. So they've reduced it from a 5-point talent to a 3-point talent, and when you max it out, it increases the armor bonus from Devotion Aura by 50% instead of 40%, and anyone affected by your aura will receive 6% more healing. So it's really, really good now. Lower cost on your talent points, so you have more talent points to spend other places, and it has 2 really good effects, so can't be mad at it. Moving on down, we have Reckoning. Reckoning is another optional talent. This is more of a farming talent, in my opinion. If you're just, dungeon farming, or, running somebody through something and you want a little bit extra damage, sure. In raids, unless you're just consistently ad tanking and you're not touching the boss, like you're just the ad tank, you're the third ad tank, sure. But you're really not going to get much use out of Reckoning as the main or the off tank in raids, unless there's just a consistent ad fight where you're tanking like 3 targets consistently. So that's a lot of consistency. But yeah, so Reckoning we skip. Moving over, we have Blessing of Sanctuary. So it's changed a little bit from its TBC version. No longer does it have the Thorns effect. When you block, you deal holy damage. Now what it does is reduces all damage taken by 3% instead of a flat physical number. It increases your strength and stamina by 10%, and in addition, when you block, parry, or dodge, you gain 2% of your maximum mana. So in my opinion, this is a buff over the current version that we have. You can't beat a flat DR and strength and stamina increases. Like, that's really, really good. The mana gain is just icing on the cake. So Blessing of Sanctuary, really good. Nice buff to it. Moving on down, we have Sacred Duty. Again, these are just all the things tanks love. More stamina and reducing the cooldown of your immunities. Gotta love it. Moving over here, we have One-Handed Weapon Specialization. Again, another talent that has gone from a 5-point talent to a 3-point talent, just increasing all damage you deal when you have a one-handed weapon equipped by 10%. Moving on down, what people consider the holy grail of prot paladins. We have Ardent Defender. So what this does is damage that would take you below 35% is reduced by 20. And in addition, damage that would otherwise kill you will now heal you for 30% of your maximum health on a 2-minute cooldown, effectively making this a cheat death for a tank. This is an incredibly strong cooldown to have. Prot paladins are the only tanks that have a cheat death. So this talent in it by itself doesn't make prot paladin S tier in my opinion. It does definitely do it justice though, and I'm going to explain why I think, and why I guess the community largely thinks prot paladins are really S tier in a class of their own at the end of the video, near the end of the video. But Ardent Defender you cannot skip, gotta take it. Holy Shield, you know what Holy Shield is. It's the tried and true active mitigation of a prot paladin. Gotta love it. Increases your block chance and it's on charges, and it still has that Thorn's Holy damage effect. So gotta love it. Moving over, we have Spiritual Attunement. So Spiritual Attunement was actually a passive ability in TBC. Now it's a talent in Deep Prot, and it still gives you mana return based off of the amount heal. In this case, we're only taking one talent point, so we're only getting 5% of the amount healed. But you're going to see why it's not really necessary to take 2 out of 2, or in some cases, maybe not even talent this at all. But I like to err on the safe side, so we're going to take 1 out of 2 here, and we're going to move on. Moving down, we have Redoubt. Again, this is just strengthening your mitigation and really strengthening Holy Shield. So increasing your block value by 30% and damaging and ranged attacks against you have a 10% chance to increase your block chance by additional 30%. Gotta love it. So if you combine Redoubt with the 30% from Holy Shield, that's 60%. Really, really strong active mitigation, especially in AoE tanking. Moving over, we have Combat Expertise. Again, all the things that a tank will love: expertise, stamina, and increase to your critical hit chance. Gotta love it. Moving on down, we have Guarded by Light. So this talent really, really shines. Let me explain why. So we're gonna get 2 out of 2 here. So it reduces all spell damage taken by 6%, and it gives you a 100% chance to refresh the duration of Divine Plea when you hit an enemy. In addition, your Divine Plea is 100% less likely to be dispelled. So that last part we don't really care about. There's not too many dispels that happen in raids. Like bosses aren't really dispelling anything, mobs aren't really dispelling anything. So you don't really care about that last line. The important part is the refreshing on Divine Plea, and let me explain why. We're going to slide over the glyphs here. So while Divine Plea is active for a glyph of Divine Plea, you take 3% reduced damage from all sources. So essentially, you will always have a 3% damage reduction from all sources with Divine Plea, because you're going to have it up 100% of the time because of Guarded by Light. Also, if you haven't noticed, Paladin is chock full of these little passive DRs. So we got Glyph of Divine Plea, which is 3%. We have Blessing of Sanctuary, which is 3%. We have Improved Righteous Fury, which is 6%. Pardon me. And we have Guarded by Light, which is 6% spell damage only, but it's still 6% spell damage. If you add that up, that's really like having a maximum, let's see, 3, 9, 12, and there's more. So that's 12% from all damage, and really like 18% if you include the Guarded by Light 6%. So it's really, really good. It's really adding to the tankiness of a Paladin. Plus, they wear plate, so they have a lot of physical mitigation, and they use shields. So it's really, really strong. Moving on over, a staple Paladin ability, Avenger Shield, now is an instant cast instead of a cast time. It still dazes and jumps to 3 additional targets, so we're definitely taking that. Over here we have Touched by Light. This is improving your hybrid power, increasing your spell power by an amount equal to 60% of your strength, and increases the amount healed by your critical heals by 30%. So this is for if you're waiting for the taunt, or if you're helping yourself or your healers out by healing a target that has a dot, or that ran through fire, or that just got unlucky. You can help out, and your heals will actually matter when you're casting them. So Touched by Light, to me, is a really good talent. Moving on down, we have Shield of the Templar, and lo and behold, this one reduces all damage taken by 3%. So yet another passive, always active DR. And it grants your Avenger Shield a 100% chance to silence the target, so no more having to LOS casters. Now they're just going to basically come to you like a pseudo death grip when you throw your shield. Over here, we have Judgments of the Just. So this talent is an optional talent. I skip it, but let's see what it does. So it reduces the cooldown of Hodge by 10 seconds when maxed out, increases the duration of Seal of Justice by 1 second, and your judgment spells also reduce the melee attack speed of the target by 20% when maxed out. So the reason why you skip this debuff is because the 10 seconds off of Hodge is negligible, and there are other classes that bring the melee attack speed slow. Death Knights with Frost Fever, every spec of Death Knight, doesn't matter which one, has it. Warriors with Thunderclap have it. So it's not really mandatory for you to bring this. If your guild is strictly a 10-man guild and you don't have those classes that will bring the attack speed slow, then sure, grab Judgments of the Just. It's not going to hurt anything. But largely, even in 10-man guilds, you're probably going to have a class that can do this attack speed slow. So I'm going to skip this one. Moving on down, the capstone talent, we have Hammer of the Righteous. This is your new single target ability. Hammers the current target and 2 additional targets, causing 4 times your main hand damage as holy, which means it's not physical, which also means that it's bypassing armor. So it's a really good single target and cleave or AoE ability. So it's a really good option. Moving on over, we have into the Ret Tree, Deflection, which has moved up. It's kind of trade spots with Improved Blessing of Might. Increasing your parry chance by 5%, again driving up that mitigation. So here we have 5% increased parry, we got the anticipation, and we got strength. So these 3 talents are really bumping up that mitigation. So really good. Or avoidance, not mitigation, avoidance. Moving on over, or not over, down, we have Improve Judgment. So Improve Judgment is the same tried and true talent. You take it, reduces the cooldown of your judgment by 2 seconds. It's going to help smooth out that rotation. Fire and forget. Moving over, we have Heart of the Crusader. This is going to let your Judgment of the Crusader give the critical strike chance debuff on a mob. So just providing your raid with a little bit more utility. Moving on down, we have Conviction, just a flat 5% increase to crit on your attacks. Gotta love it. Increases your threat and all that. I do want to stop here. I want to mention Vindication because someone may say something or notice that I didn't take this. So Vindication is essentially for Paladins the Demoralizing Shout or Demoralizing Roar debuff. And the same reason that I skipped the Judgments of the Just is the same reason I'm going to skip Vindication. One, there's a lot of classes who would bring this talent for you. So you don't need to waste talent points on this when you can just get something to bring it. And chances are there's going to be a class that does this. So you don't really need this at all. And I'm definitely going to skip it. Now, I've seen arguments where some people think that Vindication is mandatory. I personally don't. I think classes are going to be, or people are going to be pretty frequenting the classes that bring this debuff. So you don't really need it. So you can skip that. Moving over, we have Seal of Command. I'm going to opt to skip Seal of Command. It's not a bad talent if you want a little bit extra damage out there. Me, I don't like it. I like to use the other options. So we're going to skip this one. Pursuit of Justice. So this has changed a little bit from TBC in its old iteration, or I guess its current iteration. So right now, it reduces the chance to be hit by spells by 3% and increases your movement speed by 15%. Now it reduces the duration of disarm effects by 50%, so making it a nice PvP talent, and still increases the mounted and regular movement speed by 15%. So still has that movement speed, which is really important, especially for tanks when you're either positioning something, trying to get out of position, picking up adds. It's really good. 15% is a lot of movement speed just to have active at all times without having to use an ability. So I think it's really good. Moving down here, we have Crusade. So Crusade, I'm going to max out. Crusade increases all damage caused by 3% and all damage caused against humanoids, demons, undead, elementals by an additional 3%. So 6% for the listed mobs, 3% for the unlisted, like mechanicals and giants in Dragonkin. And with that being said, this is the talent build that you want to use. Again, Paladins do have some wiggle room. If you don't want to take Crusade and you want to bring that Vindication debuff because no one in your raid has it, sure. Or if you want to get Judgments of the Just, sure. Or even if you want to get Improved Hodge or Guardian's Favor for shorter utility cooldowns, great. I don't think any of that is really necessary to be a great prop Paladin. I think this build will get you through both dungeons, 10-man and 25-man, without really having to swap anything. So I think this is a really good staple build. I am going to bring up one thing that I didn't mention, and that's Divinity. So Divinity increases all healing done by you and all healing effects on you when maxed out by 5%. I've seen Paladins take it. It's not a bad talent. Again, this would just really drive up your hybrid power, and it'll help healers. It'll give them a cushion for when you're taking hard hits, like let's say Algalon's Phase Punch. So it's a really good talent for that. Other than that, though, I think the Divine Strength is always better because Divine Strength is going to fuel Touched by Light as well. So that's just my opinion. But if you want to take Divinity, go ahead. If you want to take both, I've seen builds where you take both. Go ahead. But I think this build that we currently have here is a really good build for any level of Paladin doing whatever difficulty you want. Moving on to the Glyphs. So we have the ones that I already set up. So just like almost every tank, Paladins have a few glyphs to choose from. I think starter, these are the great starter glyphs. So Divine Plea, I think, is probably the only mandatory glyph I would say you need at all times. You can't ignore just an active 3% damage reduction at all times. Like, you can't. So that's the only mandatory one. These other two are pretty flexible. Righteous Defense is just a taunt insurance, we'll call it. Like I say with the other tanks, it's just taunt insurance, making sure that when you're at low hit levels, your taunts are always going to succeed. So it just makes Righteous Defense and Hand of Reckoning work all the time. And Seal of Vengeance just gives you 10 expertise when you have your Seal of Vengeance active. So that's 10 expertise flat. That's not expertise rating. So that just goes directly to your expertise. So if the cap, let's say, is 26, you already are at 10 easily. Actually, you're at more than that. You'll probably be at 16 because of the combat expertise, which also just goes to expertise. It's not expertise rating. I want to make sure I stress that. However, for higher geared or more skilled Paladins, whatever have you, we can change out of this. So we can drop Seal of Vengeance, and one that I like to play around with is Avenger's Shield. So this removes the bouncing ability of your Avenger's Shield, but causes it to hit 100 times more effectively. So it only hits one target, but it hits for 100% more of the damage. I think that's really good, especially on a lot of these single target boss fights like OS, like Southerian and OS, you could say Halion and Ruby Sanctum, Malagos. Like, there's a lot of fights where it's just one target and you need that instant single target nuke. This is a good option to have. Another good option I would say is not that one. Where are you? The Judgment. There we go. It's just a flat 10% damage to your Judgment ability and just increasing your sustained threat overall. But if you're a Paladin, you will find that they don't really have threat issues, neither in single target or AoE. I don't think they're the best single target tanks. I think that honor goes to Death Knights. I think Death Knights are, just by and large the best single target threat tanks, but Paladins aren't far behind, and I think Paladins are the best AoE threat tanks. I think Death Knights and Paladins can operate the same in large scale AoE, but Paladin really just by the ease it takes to just hold AoE threat as a Paladin versus a Death Knight. You don't have to juggle runes. You don't have to wait for long cooldowns on your Death and Decay. Like, Consecrate's like an 8-second cooldown. Hammer of the Righteous is a 6-second cooldown, so you don't have to wait to get that AoE threat out. You just have it. It's really good. That's why I kind of give Paladins the edge in AoE tanking. But single target, I think Death Knights first, Paladin second, but it's a close game. But Paladins definitely take the edge for S tier, just by virtue of all of their utility, all of their passive DRs, and they don't really have any downsides when it comes to threat either. One more glyph I do want to mention is the Hammer of the Righteous. This just builds upon your cleave / AoE threat, making your Hammer of Righteous hit one more target. So instead of the current and 2 additional, it's the current and 3 additional, making a total of 4 targets. So that's a really good ability. Most packs have about 4 mobs, and even if they have more, you're hitting at least half of the mobs with one ability. That's kind of crazy. You gotta think about that. But yeah, Hammer of the Righteous is another good talent to have, a good glyph to have. But as you can see, the Paladin really is a straightforward build when you're looking at the talents. And the reason why I think they're S tier, kind of what I was dabbling on before I had got sidetracked with the glyphs, is look at all of their passive DR. So we have, like I said, we have 6% from Righteous Fury, 3% from Divine Plea, that's 9. Then we have 12 from Blessing and Sanctuary, and then we have 15 from Shield of the Templar, and then plus we have a 6 spell damage, which really is like, think of it as 21% magic damage reduction, 15% physical damage reduction at all times. Plus they have high armor because they wear plate, they get toughness, and they get improved devotion aura, right? Plus they have all of their utilities. They have immunities, they have bops, they have raid sack. Like, it's just so much going on for a paladin, and they can do things that the other tanks cannot do, and they can definitely sway a raid encounter in your favor just by having one prot paladin. So paladin's definitely got to get the nod for S tier. Death Knight is definitely my favorite tank, or my favorite class in general, I should say. But you can't ignore the paladin. You got to give it some respect. One thing I did want to mention lastly is the minor glyphs. So generally I don't really speak on minor glyphs. Paladin's got a couple cool little ones. The ones I have out here are just baseline. Like, you can pick whatever you want, but I have Blessing of Kings, just reduces the mana cost of your Blessing of Kings by 50%. Sense Undead. So this increases the damage against undead targets by 1% while your Sense Undead ability is active. So if you don't know anything about Wrath, there's a lot of encounters or instances where there's undead mobs. So this is just basically a flat 1% increase to everything, like stacking also with the Crusade. So you're getting an additional. So basically it's like a 7% total to undead mobs. So I feel like it's not really mandatory, but it's like, why would you ignore just free 1% increased damage, right? It's not a crazy amount of increase, but it's free. It's a minor glyph, and it ain't gonna hurt nothing, and there's not really much of a better choice out there. And then the last minor glyph is Lay on Hands, reducing the cooldown of your Lay on Hands by 5 minutes. More accessibility to Lay on Hands is really good, and I don't think you could ignore this minor glyph. Like, it's really good. But other than that, that's the video. Please, guys, if you love this video, if you learned something, like and subscribe. You know, I'm trying to get these videos out as often as I can. And if you learn something, drop a comment in a video. I'd love to see what's going on in the community. Or if you think I totally botched, I should say botched, Jesus Christ. If I botched the Paladin talent build completely, let me know. Let me know what you would take. Let me know if you really think I should say fuck off with Crusade and get Vindication. You let me know. Other than that, you guys have been great. I've been Soul, and I'm out. Peace.